Verzeo. Learn here, lead anywhere. Subscribe to our Verzeo channel and tap the bell icon to receive all notifications. Download the Verzeo app and get free content access.
Hello students, hope you are doing well. Welcome to today's Verzio webinar. I'm your host Ajay here, and we are really honored to have Mr. Prem Mohan Gaur, who is a corporate HR, and he will be guiding you with the today's webinar on personality development topic, which might be useful for your future and to build yourself. And he has a great experience in this particular field, and I believe like it will be very much helpful for you all to continue with this program.
Hi, Team Verzio. Thank you so much for inviting me. First of all, let me check if everything is working fine. I am visible to everyone and I am audible to everyone. Can everybody hear me? Maybe I can, seek a message from all of you. Yes, no, maybe. Team Verzio, can you help me out with this? Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, yes, audio, audio.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I'm visible properly, correct? Perfect. So, proceeding further, first of all, yeah, again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And Team Verdio, thank you so much for inviting me here. As you all know, we are going to discuss about personality development. I'm going to tell you a little about how maybe you can present yourself in the corporate world and how important it is and what are the actual aspects of personality development. It is not just about looks, it is also about communication and the types of communications. So let me just share my screen with you so that you can also have a look at the wonderful PowerPoint presentation that we have. Just allow me a minute. Here we go. So in this manner, if anybody has any concerns or any questions while I am talking, you are most welcome to intervene and ask me questions. You can, unpause yourself or maybe drop a message and I can have a look, and then I'm well more than happy to answer all your concerns. Or we can also go the other way around as well. Once I've delivered the entire webinar, post that we can get into a question answer session. Whatever you prefer is okay with me. So I'll just start. And yes, if I ask you any questions in the middle, please, if you're not going to, if Team Worthy or not is not unmuting you in that sense, you can actually drop a message conveying whether you are in agreement to it or maybe you are saying no to it. And also, wherever I have mentioned about a customer, this is just prerequisite before we start with the entire webinar. Wherever I have mentioned about customers, so please take it as a stakeholder. So it could be anybody, maybe someone internal, maybe someone from your family, or maybe someone in the corporate world. These things are going to help you out in the long run, both professionally as well as in your personal life. So let's move on to the first slide. I'm going to tell you about what basically personality development is, and then what are the elements of personality development. Along with that, we'll also be talking about appearance. So appearance is basically the body language. We know more generally it as body language, or this is not just about how we look. It will actually have multiple subcategories. We'll go through it one by one, and while concluding, we'll go through communication skills. So it could be verbal. I'll just tell you in detail about it. So basically, what personality development is actually an approach, or maybe a method via which you can actually make yourself more effective and more impactful. So basically, it is about in regards to your behavioral dimensions, and so that you can actually drop or maybe represent yourself with an everlasting impact. Basically what happens is, whenever you interact with anyone, it's the initial 5 minutes which is actually the main game of the entire process of discussions with those guys or maybe the stakeholder you're talking to. It is the first 5 minutes that is going to decide whether you're going to get through with the entire conversation or actually you're going to lose the conversation. So the most important thing before even if we compare about knowledge aspect, your content, even more than your content, it is your personality, your appearance, your style of delivering that is very important in any kind of a conversation, right? So this is what the objective of this particular discussion is. And as I've already told you, what is personality development? There are two important aspects to it. It's outer, of course, yes, it's outer, that is your appearance, and it is also your inner self that has to be groomed. That actually comprises the entire aspect of personality development. Because why it's the reason to it is why. So I mean, I let me tell you why it is important to groom your inner self as well. No matter how well you're dressed, until unless you have positive thoughts, until unless you have the right attitude, until unless you are thinking right and thinking straight, you cannot deliver something that will actually be impactful, that will actually be, impressive. It is always your thought process that is behind each and every aspect of a deal or a process or a discussion or an interview. Since we are talking to, or rather I'm talking to a lot of students here, I would want to stick to more to the interview processes, so that you can correlate things more easily, and maybe that can also help you in the long run in cracking interviews, how to maybe prepare yourself, right? So this is what about this is. And now if we talk about elements of personality development, basically a personality development actually has been categorized into four important elements. As you can see on the screen, the foremost important is emotional. So that's your self confidence, how confident you are. That is very important. How well do you manage stress, and what are you thinking? That's very much important. These are also interlinked. If you see, if you are positively thinking, then automatically your stress would get managed, right? And if you're not stressed, you are certainly going to reflect. All right, there's another person who's joining in. Let me admit this person. All right. So moving on to the other aspect of personality development, it is social. The other aspect is, and when it comes to being social, let's not relate this specifically to your corporate world joinings. Maybe when you'll be getting into corporate world. Let me, since the word itself specifies social, let me tell you a bit about it. So communication is the key in which you can actually leave an impact and make yourself a person who's completely or easily separate from the mob, and you can easily get a lot of recognition just because of your confidence and your communication skill, your public speaking skill, and your etiquettes. You need to be respectful, you need to be very polite with everyone, and if you're confident enough to speak in public, you're automatically ahead of the 90% of the crowd which is standing behind you. And communication, yes, communication, please ensure communication is not just about talking. It is a two-way process. It is conveying as well as listening. It's very important to understand, right? We'll be covering that in more depth as we move on. But let me tell you a little briefly about the other two aspects here as well. So professionally, if we talk about which has been categorized as professional, is interpersonal skills. That is, how you interact with other guys and other people, and other colleagues that you have on the floor. That is one thing. Another thing is that this is very important. This is time management. Why it is important is that when you will be in the corporate world, you'll be actually having limited time. So even a manager works in the same organization, even a executive works in the same organization, and even maybe a senior manager also been working in the same organization. All of the three people actually have the same time frame to work in the office and deliver, right? Why do they hold a senior position, or why do they hold a more important role? Is because they know the art of managing the time, right? So it's actually about managing multiple work at the same time and prioritizing works. These are the aspects which come into time management. You actually have to manage times very wisely, so that you can justice to the employer with which you have been working, and then only you'll be able to get the right recognition. Apart from that, presentation skills, it's very important in a professional environment to be at the optimum level of your presentation. Why? Because each and every time you have no clue, no idea where who might be assessing you, and how that can actually add boost to your career. How you can actually jump onto different level of positions or different level of promotions altogether. It's certainly it's certainly a thing or a skill that you need to focus a lot on. And apart from that, physical presentation, of course, covers and is correlated with grooming and body language. The two things, body language and grooming is of course about how. All right, there's another person joining, just a second. All right. So now another aspect of this is, as I was talking, it was grooming in body language. If we talk about grooming in body language, is of course body language is how you are actually conveying yourself without even speaking. That comes under body language, right? That we actually call that non-verbal communication as well. And grooming is how you are maybe dressed up, how well you have taken care of the hygiene. So these are the few things that we'll be discussing in more detail. But out of these entire elements of personality development, I would like to convey and talk more in detail about the three top aspects and three top elements. And these are communication skills. Second one is grooming, and third one is body language. These are the most prominent and the most common aspects and elements which each and every person is expected to take care of, and it is by default expected by every individual from anybody who is joining a corporate. All right. So till now, is there anyone who has any queries, any concerns, who want to ask me any questions? They can maybe type in. I'll give you 5 seconds for that. Anybody? No? No questions? I'll still wait. No questions? All right, I'll go ahead. I'll move on to the next slide. So, perfect grooming is uh, is basically appearing at the job. How your appearance is at your workplace. That's what comes under perfect grooming. Please understand. I have not just written grooming. I have written perfect grooming. I've used the term perfect here as well because it is very important. And at the same time, when I'm going to talk about perfect grooming, prior to this, there's one more important thing that came to my mind. And I'm just going to give you some fillers as well during the entire discussion that will actually help you in, in achieving great heights of success in your career. Here, there's a one important thing that came to my mind, and it is called power statement. I'm actually highlighting it. It's power statement. And why is it that? What is a power statement? So there could be a statement stating that I have a pen. All right, that is one thing. That is one simple sentence. How do you make it a power statement? I have a I have a silver coated and exceptionally well printed pen. So you actually had adjectives and you can even add as good, as strong and as good as adjectives. Whatever you can think of, try to add and use adjectives in statements. That will actually give you an upper hand in every conversation. It will be very easy for you to impress anybody whenever you're using a power statement, right? This is something very important. Was something that just came to my mind while I was talking about this. So I'll keep on giving you multiple fillers and a multiple few additional information as well, whatever will be coming to my mind while I'm talking about all this. So now coming back to the presentation, it's about perfect grooming. And what basically is grooming? It's actually about how you dress up for your office or the business meetings, right? The cleanliness, the hygiene, the how neat you look, how smart you look, how pleasant and attractive, and how professional you look. All these things come under this particular aspect, right? So since we're talking about grooming, there are multiple elements and aspects of grooming as well. We'll be covering each and every one by one. So as you can see, I've written this. What are the two most or the broad categories in which grooming has been divided is the way we think, feel, or attract this, excuse me, act or behave. This is one of the categories, something which we do and we feel about grooming, right? And the other aspect of grooming is how others perceive us, right? How they react and respond to our presence. That's what grooming is. Guys, understand this thing. Pay a lot of attention to this. This is something very important. I'm going to talk about here. Why? Because at times you don't even in office you don't would not even need to speak. Your presence itself on the floor would say multiple things about you. Just your presence, and it will also speak a lot of good things. It will also speak a lot of bad things. So you have to be very clear about this and very cautious about your appearance and presence. So this is very important. I'll try to give you some examples as well, why and how this is important and at what level it is important. Do not take anything at all casual in this aspect. So the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act or behave. If you have groomed yourself properly, if you're dressed up, if you're wearing a tuxedo, or maybe if you're wearing really nice clothes, it will automatically give you a lot of confidence. Every it has got nothing to do with male or female. You don't have to maybe there are certain people or certain students which feel like, no, this is not my thing. I am not a person who's that much concerned about grooming. I am a person who will be delivering on the basis of the work that I'll be doing. Please understand, in the corporate world, this is the first and foremost important thing. Your yearly appraisals, your yearly increments, your growth in the entire organization, and your perception and your impact in the entire organization depends on these first, and the knowledge and the work that you do comes secondary. It is certainly important, the work is very important, but the grooming is very important. If you are confident, if you're feeling good, and if you're acting good, then certainly, even if you're lacking like 1% on your work, then this would cover it up. You don't have to worry about that 1%. But yeah, of course, I'm not saying that you don't have to work. You certainly need to work. Work is very important, but yeah, at the same time, these two categories have to be taken care of. If you're dressed up well, everybody, there are two things at work that you'll actually seek. One is respect, right? That is very important. Another is learning, right? Earning, of course, everybody wants earning, that is there. But yeah, of course, the two more important things are learning and the respect. The only way to gain respect is is what I'm going to talk here about. It's your grooming, your communication. All these things are going to matter. If you're dressed well, everybody would act accordingly to you, right? Even your leaders would stop while walking and see and be impressed by how you are actually interacting, and how you are actually showcasing yourself on the floor. Now, if we talk about personal grooming habits, these are the main categories, or the broad categories, where I actually have categorized. So one is overall cleanliness. We'll be talking about all these things one by one in detail. Second is your hair. That's very important. And your nails, of course, another very important thing, which every individual has to take care of. Guys, no more schooly and college habits. You actually have to be very cautious about all these habits. These are very much important, and everybody notices you on the basis of these. Your teeth, very important. You might laugh that I'll ask you to brush your teeth twice a day. Most of you must have been doing this, but there are few who are not. So it's very important to do it. I'll tell you why it is important, right? Your business attire, what are you wearing? And of course, the makeup, guys. It's not just about the girls, the guys are also involved. So the makeup as well is also very important. Let's move on to the next slide, and let's talk about your hair. So it's actually called as a crowning glory, right? You need to keep it clean and at length. So I mean, by length, I do not mean you actually have to have very long hair. You actually have to keep it very simple. And that's simple is actually, you can say simple could be, in a way you can say that simple could be related to smartness as well. Why? Because the long hair that you have, the hair that you have on your touching your eyebrows, maybe if you haven't combed your hair properly, that actually reflects poorly on you. That actually showcases that you cannot even manage your hair properly. How would you manage the things at work, right? So see how people perceive things. Just by your hair, they would try to understand whether this guy can actually manage a task in place properly or not. So hair should not fall over the ears, eyebrows, or even touch the back of the collar. So no Ronaldo type hairs at the back. So you have to keep the hair short from the back as well. So facial hair, that is another thing that is also very important. So it should be neatly trimmed. Mustache, sideburns, and the beard. So usually it is expected that the beard, it has to be clean shaven. But now that it's trending, everybody is keeping beards. So, but it has to be neatly trimmed. That is very important. So these are the few of the hairstyles that I was talking. The stylish ones that we use, or generally the boys prefer in college days, or maybe on the casual approach. A lot of students, or maybe a lot of individuals, do try to carry these hairstyles. Avoid these, please. These are not accepted in a corporate world, right? Now, beard, as I mentioned earlier. So keep a beard only if it suits you. It is not a mandate that you have to keep a beard to look more professional, or maybe to look more mature. Nobody is going to assess you, Guys, here another thing that I want to add. Apart from this presentation, I use the word assess and not judge. It's very crucial to understand how the words are used. It's very important to understand what a word, what is a positive word and what is a negative word, right? So I'll talk in more detail about it as we process further. As we go ahead with this presentation. But yeah, I'm trying to highlight these because these you need to these are the things that you need to correlate that will actually help you out. And I'm sure by this time while I'm talking, you might have already read this slide. So important steps: set a beard length limit. You have to set it by yourself. It should not be like that today or maybe tomorrow I'll go and it's looking a little longer than what I actually really used to keep. I'll maybe go to a salon and then get it trimmed. You actually have to make it in your mind, jot down it somewhere back at the back of your mind that this should be the limit. My beard should not go beyond this. And then you have to find the neckline. So neckline is the place here, till up till where you actually have your beard. I'm not having a beard though, but yeah, no, I'm just trying to help you out. You don't need to have the hair, your beard hair down your neck. You have to ensure the neckline is pretty clean and smart. And then wash your beard regularly, condition it, comb it, and trim regularly. So moving on to the nails, clip your nails short along their shape. So guys, please ensure no long nails or here I would also specifically like to highlight it to the girls. No nail paints or no nail art. You have to be very professional with your nail. And a healthy nail, of course, certainly this is something very basic, certainly ensures a healthy body. So brittle discolored nails, they show deficiencies, or these are also disease conditions. So a few things where actually people assess you here is certainly which are very important are your nail, your hair, your facial hair, then of course hair on your hands. Proper waxing has to be done. And then if you talk about your dressing sense, it's your shoe, how you what you're wearing. Teeth, your teeth are also very important. So you have to brush your teeth twice, and brushing your teeth doesn't just specifically mean that your teeth should be clean. They should just be just be white. What I'm trying to say here is also talk about the order. You actually have to rinse your mouth well after every meal. So even after the lunch, do not miss to do it, because you never know, you are actually having, what if you're called in a meeting with the chairman of the company or maybe a senior person in the company, and you just had onions during the lunch. So that will certainly reflect very bad on your end. So please do not do it. Rinse your mouth certainly well. And if for the guys or the girls who smoke, please ensure you actually have a mouth freshener. That's very important, because you have to ensure the workplace is actually an area where you actually have to ensure the health and order, and of course a good environment around you, so that more and more people are happy to come around you, instead of maybe skipping to meet you or skipping to greet you. That only happens if there is a barrier. So these are few of the barriers which come which are there, which you actually have to take care of. So your business where certainly talks about you. First impressions, maybe I mentioned this earlier as well, is covered in like the initial 5 minutes. So we have another visitor. Just a second, another guy joining in. I've accepted this. So I was talking about the business attire. So your first impression actually is received in the initial 5 minutes. Here, since I'm talking to the students, I'm again going to add one more thing. This is something very important during your interviews. Never take an interview casually. So I'll specifically mention here why. Because a lot of students come to me asking how they should be prepared and what they should be wearing during an interview. So do not ever commit this mistake. What happens is that since we are very casual during our college days, and it's for the first time we are actually getting into an interview, we at times we also tend to be overconfident that maybe because of this way I will be talking, I will be able to impress the interviewers, or because of the content, that the knowledge that I have, I will be able to or rather I'll be able to impress the interviewers. Or another thing is that maybe I'll buy a business attire only once I get the job. So people generally tend to arrange for business attires, maybe business attires of their friends, or maybe they borrow it from somewhere, or they tend to maybe wear an older shirt, or maybe they're not actually at their best. This is some few of the issues that come up with a lot of students. So please don't do it. The first and the foremost important thing when you'll enter the room of an interviewer is that he will actually look at your shoe, he will actually look at your shirt and the tuxedo, maybe whatever your business attire is. They'll certainly see, and they'll review that thoroughly, and within those initial 5 seconds, your 70% of your interview would have been decided in which direction it would go. Would it go in the positive direction, or would that go in the negative direction? It's very important. You actually have to wear neat, clean, and well ironed business attire. This is the only way you can actually impress your interviewer. For a fresher, what is more important, what is most important is the presentation. You actually have to be at your best before delivering any before going for an interview. You have to be very well prepared. So guys, I hope you can see the screen here. I've got few of the shirts which you can actually which you can actually, just a second, let me remove this up. I hope you can see the shirts clearly now. So these are few of the acceptable shirts that you can prefer. These come under the category of formal shirt. So as the rule is, as I've specified at the top, as a rule, the simpler the better. So the simpler the shirt you have, the better it is. So there's a straight no to these check shirts. So please ensure you wear these kind of shirts, the light blue, gray, and white. White is the simplest and most, or the most easily accepted color for any interview, even at senior levels in your career. You would still be wearing whites in your interview. That is what it is, most appreciated. And the most important thing, apart from the colors, is how you wear them. So do not college are the days wherein we are a little casual about how we button up our shirts, and it goes mostly with the uppermost or the topmost button in your shirt. So you have to ensure that, including the collar button, in case of a tie, you actually have to button up. So apart from that, if you're wearing a tie, only collar button should be open. Sorry, I went the other way around. So if you're wearing a tie, the collar button should be buttoned up, and if you're not wearing the tie, then you have a liberty to open up the collar button. That's what I'm trying to say. And the cuffs. So in the college days, a lot of students I've seen, they commit this mistake that they actually do not button up their cuffs. What they generally do it, they actually fold it up. So it's a straight no to it. You actually have to button it up. And even if I'll still give you a liberty. I have not mentioned this here, and it is not preferred though. But generally, there are situations wherein you might feel exhausted at workplace, and you might feel like, folding up your sleeves. So you can actually fold it up till your elbow, right? Not less than that, and not above that. So till that, you can actually fold it up, and but it should be folded in a nicely manner. It should not be like maybe a cloth tied to your elbow. It should not look like that. The crease should be there while you're folding it up. So please ensure that is taken care of. So there's another student that has joined us. All right, and now if you move on to the next slide, just a second, give me a minute. We'll move on to the next slide. Here it is. So not just the colors, not just the buttons, it is also about how you got it stitched. So stitching is also very important. If you're also buying it ready-made from the market, please ensure that it's not too loose, neither too tight. I mean, we are not looking for bodybuilders. While you please don't feel like that you can actually impress your interviewers by actually showcasing that you actually have abs. Maybe don't go by that. You don't have to wear that kind of an attire that actually is a little revealing, and it also should not be the way that your shirt is too loose. Right, the third one. This is the one that you can see. This is the one that is just right. So this is what you actually have to prefer. So if you actually have of this kind of a fit, the shirt is of this kind, then certainly your appearance can dramatically be improved, and this is something which is more preferred. All right, so I see something happening here. Just a second, in the chat. Any extra care for online interview? All right. So Shubham, I just noticed this. Any extra care for online interview? For online interview, saying online interview, number one and the most important thing, is that I'll take it up in length at the end of at the end of this webinar. But still, just giving you a little idea about this. I would want to interact with you all. You can ask direct questions, but just giving you an idea about this. It is online interviews are more about certainly the you actually have to take care of technical aspects as well. There should be a proper internet connection in the isolation. If you're sitting, I mean, you actually have to ensure that you are isolated while you're giving your interview, or rather taking your interview. Why? There should not be any noise that reflects poorly on the interviewer. Can you mention what a tie means, sir? Okay, what a tie means. I don't know how to answer this. A tie actually is what you're wearing, around your neck. That's a tie. So I don't know how to answer this question, or rather, I'm not able to understand properly what you're trying to ask me. I actually am going to cover about the ties as well. If you're asking me what kind of ties can we wear, so I'm going to cover that up in the coming slides. Don't worry about that. Okay, what it showcases. It is. I'll come to it. Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute. I'll be coming to it. We'll be talking about it. Let me move on to that slide, and then we'll be talking in more detail about it. It is about the patterns and all. Just a second, yeah. So now moving on to the next slide, the blazers and the suits. Best colors for blazers. Guys, please pay attention. Friends, this is very important to understand. You should not do it. A lot of freshers commit this mistakes because they haven't got a formal blazer or a formal suit stitched. What they do is they actually use their party wear suits during the interview. Please do not commit that mistake. That's a big mistake, and I'm telling you why it is a mistake. That clearly showcases to the interviewer how how much this that important that how much important that interview is for you. If you're taking it casually, then only you're actually going to wear that party wear. If you're taking it very seriously, then it simply means that you are certainly going to get or certainly going to have a very formal attire stitched up or bought. So your attire certainly reflects about how you are thinking about that interview, and it's very important for an interview for an interviewer to assess you on these parameters, because that's actually how your personality is perceived. We'll be talking in more detail about other aspects as well, on how an interview is conducted and what parameters you are assessed. I'll be giving you more hints on how to crack an interview, but of course later on. Let's proceed to the next slide and the next aspect. So ties, as a person here was asking me, no loud colors or patterns. There should not be any loud colors or patterns. So your tie should coordinate with your attire. It should not be like, I'm just giving an example. Don't wear a yellow shirt though, but I'm just giving an example. It should not be like, you're wearing a yellow shirt and on top of it you're actually wearing a blue tie. That's not a very good combination, and it should not be very flashy, right? It should actually coordinate. And the knot, how the ties knot goes is very important. It should be a perfect triangle. That is what is preferred. There are multiple ways of tying it, though. A lot of, if you research on the internet, you'll find multiple ways, but the preferable and the most important and most acceptable is the triangle note. And I'll just showcase you here. If you can see some well accepted colors and patterns. If you can see, guys, these are the most common used ties and the patterns. If you can see, these are the most simple as well. And at the same time, let me also share a personal thing here. This is the color that I chose for my first interview and my first job. Just to share with you guys. And you actually, if you are facing any trouble identifying what tie actually you should go by, then you can, while buying, you can talk to the shopkeeper. You can tell them that I'm looking for a corporate tie, and they actually have a category to it. They can show you, and you can easily identify out of the lot that they might have. And this is how the ties could be decided on. So these are the ties that I was talking about. You actually have to avoid these. These are basically the party wears. So these printed ones, these flashy ones, these are strict. No. You actually have to avoid these. All right. So here, any questions? I'm gonna wait for like 5 seconds here, because there was a student talking about ties. And is there any questions? Anybody want to ask me here?
Yeah, hello. Hello.
Yeah, Shubham, tell me.
Yeah, like my question is like why corporate, like I heard about that earlier, like why corporate life is so difficult, like it means like how to handle the stress or a pressure, in the company. And one more question is that like which is like better sector, as a fresher is going for a like a government sector or private sector? Because many like my friends and I also confused like if we are going for a government sector or a private sector, so like which is
Mhm.
better for as a fresher?
Right. Right. So, Shubham, you actually have two questions here. I would love to answer that. That will actually distract a little from the current topic that we're talking about. But anyways, uh, talking about the first question that you mentioned, why the corporate life is difficult. So, I'll tell you, Shubham, the corporate life is actually not difficult. It's a, it's actually fun. It's basically the task and the profile that you have taken up. That is what it is important. If if you are actually forcing yourself to do something, then only it will be difficult for you. But if you are doing something which you love, then I'm sure you would enjoy it instead of considering that difficult. But if I understand your question in a better manner, you probably are trying to ask why there are so many restrictions on what to wear, what not to wear, and how to present yourself. Why it is there is because your stakes are very high while you're working at the at a client, at a company, right? It is just not about an individual. It is actually about the entire employee base or the headcount which is present in the entire organization. And there's a specific code of conduct and then the ethics, ethical values, and which each person has to follow, so that there is no conflict amongst the people who are working for the same cause and same goal and same target, right? That is why we have all these aspects in place, how to dress up and how to look more professional, right? And this is why it is important for you to, it's like maybe let me give you an example. While you were actually going to a play school, there was it was a different world for you altogether, right? Then you went to a the senior secondary school, things were very different there, right? And in college things are altogether were different, right? The world was very different. So each and every phase of your life, even each and every those years of life will bring a different world for you, right? And it's about it's you all, I'm sure you already have heard this saying that survival of the fittest, right? The Please do not hold back that thing at the back of your mind, that I am of this sort, my personality of this sort, and I want to be natural, and I would not maybe go by the rules. I'll just be I'll just be natural. It's actually not about changing you. It is not changing you. It is enhancing and upgrading you. So there's a bit difference between changing your individuality and upgrading yourself. So take it as a learning, not as that you're going to change yourself. It is not about changing you. That is one thing. Secondly, you asked me about which is better, a government job or a private sector. So for answering that question, it is it very the it's a very general and a very wide question that you have actually asked, because getting into a government job or getting into a private job is actually your individual choice. If you actually want to serve the people by not the people, but if you want to serve the people through the government, then you go for a government job. So there's another question that coming up. Let me just answer this properly, and then I'll complete my today's. It is online. Okay, Shubham, not a problem. Yes, it will look good. Shubham, let me complete Mr. Shubham Kaushik's answer. Answer. Let me answer that, and then I'll come to you. So I was answering this government and this private thing. So as a private, a lot of learning is there. In government as well, a lot of learning is there. But yeah, it is your personal choice. Nobody can actually give you an answer to this. But yeah, generally in the society, how people perceive it is that government job is better. I'll still tell you, a lot of crowd or the a lot of a huge percentage of the people in India. I'm talking about India, not global. In India, we feel like that a government job is there and a government job is good. Generally what they have is they actually have a this thought at the back of their mind, that it is the job security which will be which that person would get while working as a government employee. But let me tell you, if you are not performing up to mark, then even the government job would not save you. You actually have to deliver your best, and nobody should be scared of getting into even a private job. You're doing justice. You're just doing justice to your job. You are actually giving the organization, and then giving three times what you are actually getting from the organization. You're actually delivering three times of that. you are going to be a top performer, you don't have to worry about that. So it's a personal individual choice which is decided by the circumstances of that particular individual, whether to get into a government or a private job, right? I hope I answered your question right. If you still have any concerns, you can always type in. And Mr. Shubham Thakre or Thakare, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrect. You can certainly wear a tie. That is not a problem. It will look good. If you're a fresher, I'm not sure. If you are fresher, certainly you should wear a tie, right? But you don't have to worry about that much. If you don't have to have a tie and you feel like then you would not be comfortable with the tie, but you have to ensure that your other aspects of your grooming are good, right? Okay, it is your first interview, go with a tie. I would recommend a tie. It will look good. You are halfway through if you're wearing a tuxedo. You wear a suit, a blazer, or a tie. You're halfway through. I'm telling you. I will be talking about this. I'll be answering all your questions regarding interviews. Let's move on to the next slide. Minimize this. So, how the trousers look like? So, guys, it's a to straight no to what? Straight no to the low waist trousers that you wear in colleges. A straight no. So, this is what I've written. So the trouser should fit perfectly around the waist with no need for a belt to hold. I'm not saying that you don't have to wear a belt. A belt is certainly required. It is a mandate. You actually have to wear a belt. But the it should not be like that. You'll need a belt to hold up your trouser. The trouser should have a good fitting. That's what I'm trying to say. They should hit around the high hip bone area or even slightly higher. So this is what I'm talking about. This is too tight, maybe this is good, and this is a little loose. All right. The seat or butt area should lightly hug the butt and not be saggy or super tight. So if the if the of course if the trouser is too tight, then you might split the trouser, and we do not want that to happen, right? So be careful about it. It should not be too tight, it should not be sagging, it should be just perfect in terms of the fittings. This is how it looks like. All right. And if we've got a bunch of extra fabric, you can see the extra fabric here, then you certainly need a tailor to help you out. I'll move on to the next slide. The trousers, of course. Colors of the trousers, the colors, they should preferably dark. All right. You can also wear a light trouser with a dark colored shirt. So the combination and the coordination, these are very important. So guys, I am telling you a lot of things in detail, but you don't have to worry about those things. The simple rule is the simpler, the better. Please ensure this. It should be the simpler, the better. Otherwise, you might just confuse yourself. But I have mentioned all those things in the PPT. You can always look at it and maybe understand what you need to wear. But yeah, do not get confused or worried about things. You have to ensure that it's simple. You have to keep it simple, and it would be done. The trouser should be well ironed, and of course, the preferred colors I've mentioned: black, dark blue, and dark gray. Here are the usually the jeans and the cargos that we wear in the college days. So it's time to say goodbye to them. Of course, you can wear them at home, but not in the corporate world, unless it is your fun day in your office, or if your office has a culture that allows you to wear such kind of clothes. So here, let me add: a lot of organizations and a lot of companies do have this culture that they can even allow you to wear even a short. They're okay with that. But in general, if we talk about the corporate ethics, and mostly cases, the cargos and jeans are not acceptable. Socks, very important aspect, because generally what students and what a lot of professionals commit as a mistake is that they do not pay much attention to it, and that actually reflects very poorly on them. It should be a thumb rule that you do not wear white, colorful, or big pattern socks, because it is very much visible and it's very flashy, and it gets noticed very easily. Don't do it. So and do not wear loose socks. Please ensure, and no socks which are below the ankle. No such socks. You actually have to wear socks of these types, so that your this area of the leg and the foot is easily covered, because while you walk, your socks actually gets exposed, and people do notice it. It's very important. The colors are also very important. The socks should be having a color that is in coordination with your trouser. So if you're wearing a black trouser, try to wear a black sock. If you're wearing a brown trouser, try to wear a brown socks. So like that. All right. And now we move on to the shoes. So the most important aspect about shoes is the shoe with laces. That is very important. Do not wear laces-less shoes. That's very important. It's not formal. It's not formal, irrespective of whether it is black or brown. You have to ensure you do wear shoes which do have laces to tie. All right, that's very very important. Ensure your shoe are polished every day. Guys, you are going to enter the corporate world. Please ensure that you do it, because in the entire first year of your corporate career, 99% of the days your mentors would certainly be noticing your shoes. The I am, at this level of my career, still if when I'm talking to the CEO, or when I'm actually talking to a business or a director, they do notice what I'm wearing. But at the same time, let me tell you how important this is, what I'm talking about. I'll give you an example. Our global head HR, one of the global head HRs that I was working with earlier, he actually had a meeting. He's a person who's aged around 58 years. Can you imagine at what level of his career he is these days? So he's actually heading the entire global HR function. When he was called for a meeting with the owner of the organization, I actually know his hair were perfect. He was dressed perfectly. I noticed him checking his hair again and again. He wanted to be at his best. So you can ensure the gravity of what I'm telling you, how important these things are. These are very important. And your shoes certainly should be in a good condition. If your shoes are almost in a condition that you need to get them replaced, do not wait. Do not wait, because a single day, a single impression actually lasts for a very long time. Oh, you've been wearing good shoes, you've been polishing them every day, and maybe it's a rainy day that day, and you got your shoe spoiled, and all mud is there on your shoe. And there's a situation that a new very strong stakeholder has joined the organization. It's for the first time you're actually visiting this person. Even if you apologize, that would actually last an impression that that would not be that good for you. So please ensure the shoes are certainly clean. And in that situation, what I can tell you is, and this is a habit and a practice that corporates or professionals do, is they do carry a shoe polish along with them every day in their bag. Even if they're missed to polish their shoe at home, they try to they first of all go to the washroom, polish their shoes. I've seen senior people doing it. Trust me, it's very important to polish your shoes. They should be shiny and polished well. These are the shoe and socks. So this is the one which I was talking about. The sock that you should avoid. It's below your ankle. And there's one more type. I wish I had a picture of that, which which is up to this level only. Not even up till this level. That socks is up till this level only, and you actually have to avoid wearing that during uh, your office hours. Here you see these shoe are certainly having laces, but these are not the right pair, because these are not simple. Right? I told you, simple the better. It should be plain. Right? This is very important. These patterns, these colors are not acceptable. Belts, the buckles should be flat and straight, and you actually have to wear formal belts. Please don't try to showcase or maybe try to show some fashion while wearing those fancy belts. Those are not acceptable. Yes, the color should be matching. So I'll just give you some important information here. The strap of your watch and the buckle of your belt and your shoe, they should be matching in color. Your socks should be matching with your trouser, and the coordination between your shirt and your trouser should be appealing. All right. So this is what I was talking about. And these are the casual belts which you don't have to wear. So no Supermans, guys. No such belts. No such good-looking, charming, impressive belts. You don't have to impress anybody with your belts. But yes, it should be simple. That's what you actually have to do. These are the casual belts that you actually have to avoid. Watches, again, it is very important. So preferably wear leather straped watches. So these preferably try to wear these kind of watches, the ones these kinds of, try to avoid these though. But yeah, of course, something which is which is while wearing a metal shaped watch, what is important is you actually have to make sure that it fits the wrist well. It should not be hanging. It should not be like, there's something hanging on, or maybe hanger. There should not be like a huge gap shown when you're actually moving your hand. It doesn't look really good, right? And the specific watches that you actually avoid, these kind of the types of watches. No trendy, no stylish watches. You please do not wear these watches. It doesn't look good at all, until unless it's maybe a function, or maybe a day. Generally what happens is, in the corporates, there's a single day decided in a week wherein some relaxations are given to individuals to wear casuals. Those days, maybe, those are the days wherein, you can actually, if you're very passionate about wearing such kind of clothes and watches, those are the days when you can feel a little comfortable and be at ease with the clothes and the attires. Yes, no backpacks. Talking about the bags, so see guys, all these things are very important. These are the backpacks which are actually not acceptable, and these are the bags which are actually acceptable. I think, we are already at past the time limit though. I'll try to wrap up things, and I'll try to quickly. Sachin Kumar is also trying to enter this. We are already at 6 now. Guys, I want to hold here for a while, and I want to answer your questions. Now, first, let's get into a question answer session, and maybe I can talk further later on if we'll be, having a little more time available. All right. So I am open to the question, guys. Any question that you have, anything in regards to the interviews, how you want to prepare interviews, anything you want to ask about anything, I'm open to take questions. I'm waiting for the questions. Nobody has a question? How to say no in interview? How to say no in interview? That's a good question. Uh, so it's a very nice question to answer. It's saying no is an art. So basically, here actually brings two things at the back of my mind. Number one is that there's a thing called sandwiching. Sandwiching, I'm saying, the way you actually have a sandwich. There are two breads, and there's some stuffing inside it. How you actually that is about criticizing. So I'm actually going to give you an idea how to maybe show your disagreement. Is that the simple statement that you can use is that I beg to differ, sir. And of course, if you're saying that you're not comfortable with a particular situation, you certainly have to be very cautious. You have to be very polite while saying it. But of course, do not say yes in pressure at all. At times, honesty is something which is very much accepted. So what you can do is you can use the statement, sir, I beg to differ on this front. I have a different opinion on this. And otherwise, you can always say that, sir, I'm afraid, due to so and so reasons, I have certain apprehensions about this particular aspect. So this is what you can say. Any other questions? I hope I really answered your question well there in an interview. And what are they, sir? All right. So basically, the first thing that you undergo is, so it varies from company to company. Initially, some companies do HR rounds first, some companies do technical rounds first. And yeah, this is a very good question. I want to add a few things here. The processes which multiple companies follows is that when there are a lot of, so let us say they are going to hire 10 students, and the people who have come in are 100. So what they would do is they would actually take your aptitude test, right? That is number one. That could be the one round, right? And the other round could be the group discussion. Then, in that they would see your personality. And when they have actually selected maybe 20 students out of 100, then they would get into further rounds. The further rounds could be, they could maybe involve another activity, or maybe they would start taking interviews directly. Those could be HR rounds. And or they could be technical rounds first, then the HR rounds would come into picture. And then there could be a final round as well, with the main head who has come along to take the interviews. Generally this, so there could be around 3 to 5 level of interviews that a fresher might undergo to get the right opportunity. That's what I'm talking. I hope I answered your question correctly. You want to ask anything else? Anybody else want to ask me anything? Do's and don'ts in an interview. All right. So do's and don'ts. Okay, I'll give you some tips here. So I understand your concerns. Let me give you a little tips about the interviews here. The first thing, let us suppose you are sitting and waiting for an interview, or maybe if it is even in an online interview, let us suppose that interview is fixed at for 5 o'clock in the evening, right? And you've been waiting there for like 5 or 10 minutes already, and the interviewer comes up 10 minutes late, and the first statement that he says is that, oh, I'm sorry, I kept you busy, sorry, I kept you waiting, right? So that what best can you think of maybe answering? You might say that no problem, sir, that is okay, right? But what is the even better statement that you can say is, sir, I do understand, or ma'am, I do understand that you must have been occupied with something very important. I'm completely all right waiting. I hope you are at ease, because I'm sure you have 10 things to take care of, and you've been working since morning. I was just waiting. I was doing nothing. So this kind of an attitude and this kind of a statement that would actually give you an upper hand in the interview. You would certainly be on the more inclined towards getting selected if you such statements are used. These are called the power statements maybe, or the situation dealing statements, which you can actually use. Another thing that happens in an interview is that an interview while asking you something, what they'll do is they'll try to distract you. That would they would do intentionally, but you don't have to get distracted. What they do is, if they're having maybe a cup of coffee along, and they coffee along, they've asked you something, you're answering that. In the middle, while you're actually answering that question, they would either start sleeping. They'll actually not sleep, but they'll portray that they're sleeping. And if you don't have to actually act to it, you just have to continue what you have been saying. That actually try to what they try to check is how much how much distractions can you handle, right? Or if they're slurping something, make that slurp. If they're sipping something, they'll make that slurping noise to distract you, but you never ever get distracted during those times. If you are answering something, just keep on answering, and once you're done, then wait for the interviewer to ask you something else, right? This is another thing that comes up. And an opening statement, I'll give you. For a GD, there are certain things that you need to take care of. Number one is that, let us suppose you're given chance to, okay, let's go with Shubham will open up the GD. So that comes to, you might not be even ready about it, and then you just get this thing suddenly from someone that you have to start. So it also actually does not give you a lot of time to think what to say and what not to in a GD, and you actually have to impress the guys. So how you can actually handle that situation is use the statement. So I would like to give an option to my friends here. Anybody who would like to break the ice? So this is a statement, and this is a power statement that you can use that will actually put you, put you, or rather separate you from the crowd, or put you in a more inclined situation of getting that job. This is one thing. Also, an interview, a GD. Please do not say, do not think that GD is that you just have to speak endlessly in a GD. It is not about that. The GD is also about managing. There could be a situation wherein everybody is shouting and trying to convey their points. You actually can also act as a mediator. You can actually ask people to speak one by one. Let this guy speak, let x guy speak, let the y person speak. And at the end of a GD, ensure to conclude. If nobody has concluded that, then yes, it was a really nice discussion. At the end, I would like to conclude this. So try to conclude what you have discussed, and what is the conclusion, to what point have you reached. These are the few important aspects that you actually can take care of in a GD. Aptitude, of course, you need to practice a little bit of maths. That is what it is there. Any other thing that you guys want to ask, do's and don'ts? So of course, keep your phone in silent mode, right? Do not get distracted. That's very important. And be at your best, be presentable. Sir, I'm late joining. Could you give quick review, please? I am late. Could you give a quick review? We can come to that, Sachin. Quick review would take a little bit of time. I need to wrap up the entire presentation. It's going to take a little bit of more time. I have already asked the team Verzio to maybe intervene and convey whether where we can extend and go a little further with the presentation, or they want me to wrap this up quickly. I'm still waiting to hear from them. Team Verzio, can you hear me? Is there anybody out there? Team Virgil, let me try to wrap this up quickly. Sachin, I hope you can connect with your friends and colleagues who are a part of this discussion, and you can check with them. I'll just give you a little bit of hints on how to maybe uh, go ahead about things. I talked about grooming. Let me talk about communication skill first. So communication skill is always about two things. One is what you're saying, and what actually you are listening. So listening is first very important. Try to listen very carefully what anybody is doing. This is a skill wherein even the leaders do have scope of improvement. At times what happens is that we do not try to we just listen to the words, but we do not listen to the feelings or the emotions a person is trying to communicate. You have to actually keep your ear open even to the emotions while a person is delivering their statement, and you actually have to ensure that what I should respond instead of reacting. So let us suppose maybe someone asked you that, sir, this situation we're talking about, we are out of time. I have the statement from event Verzio. So herein I could easily say ki, okay, we're out of time. Then my reaction could have been, all right, guys, students, since we're out of time, let's wrap it up. And thank you so much for joining. That I could have done. But at the same time, I do understand how important this is for each and every student. So I want to deliver a little bit about it. I want to wrap up things, but I'll still take 5-10 minutes more, and then I'll quickly wrap it up. Now, communication skill is about listening and also about non-verbal communication skills are there. How you are standing, how maybe your hands are folded. Do not have your arms folded. That actually reflects that you're not open to listen to other people. That's one of the, you can Google about non-verbal communication skills, right? The way you're standing, that also reflects about in which direction do you have your torso. So if you are facing the person, if you're actually making an eye contact, that reflects confidence. That actually if your torso is in a different direction than to the from the direction in which a person is standing to whom you're interacting, that reflects that you are actually not interested in communicating, right? So now moving on to the next aspect, and that is about, let me just move on to the slides quickly, and I'll tell you how you can maybe so these are accessories. Do not wear jewelries. The jewelries are not so these are a few other things. So a mild deodorant is okay. I've talked about all the other aspects already. You don't have to, maybe put in a deodorant that is too loud. And the single best problem in communication is the lesson is the illusion that it has taken place. So what happens is the person who's trying to convey you something might have missed on to conveying properly, and there could be a situation that maybe someone told you 100 things from his end, but he could only deliver 90 things. Because it happens, we assume that we've already spoken that, but we tend to skip on to a few things. And it happens on the other end as well, while we're listening, out of those 90 or 80 things what the other person said, we only listen to maybe 70 things, right? So those 30 things which have been missed out are basically the illusion that we think that communication has happened. So it's very important to listen and communicate in a better manner. It's all about how communication skills are to be taken care of. So communication skill is basically about body language, voice, and the words. Words is only 10%. It's your body language, how you greet and how things are done. Perfect, no problem. Varzio. So, guys, since we are out of time, I got into the question answer session earlier. I wanted to complete this. Any question, guys, that you want to ask me? Because I want to answer, use these 2 minutes while answering your questions, and I want to wrap it up. Anybody who wants to ask me any question? I am okay to answer any questions, guys, that you might have. No problem if you don't have any questions. Just to wrap it up, let me tell you, while you're going for an interview, things you need to take care of: the grooming, the presentation, of course, part of the grooming only, and what you say, and just be confident. That's very important. Try to showcase how patient you are while listening. If I'm allowed, may I know what is your path? If I am allowed, may I know what is your path to your designation today? So if I got your question right, so I'm working with Jaguar Group as a corporate HR these days, and of course I have an exposure of working for global. I mean, I have exposure to the global world here for recruitment. So I have done recruitments for US, Europe, and I've done that for India as well these days. That's what I've been doing. I've been delivering presentations as well. I've been taking a lot of questions. Students, let me also tell you that, let me just type in my email ID. If you have any concerns, questions, you can actually write to me since we are short on time. I can help you with any questions and concerns. This is my personal email ID. You guys can actually have a look at it, and how we can use our hands to explain things in an interview. So so these are basically NVCs. This is actually a long topic to discuss. Try to look out and read out for non-verbal skills on or non-verbal communication on Google or YouTube. So that will help you out. So guys, I believe I answered all your questions. So Team Varzio, thank you so much for getting me here. And thank you so much for your patience. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope it you really liked it. And if you have any questions and concerns, you can directly write me on this write to me on this particular email ID. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and concerns. All right then. It's Prem Mohan Gaur signing off from here. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day. Yeah, mail ID please. I didn't got all right from me to university or direct message. Hey, I have just typed it. Can you guys not see it? All right, let me just verbally speak it out. It's gpremohan@gmail.com. G, that is G as in gun, then Prem, and then Mohan, GPREMMOHAN @gmail.com. That's what my email ID is. I hope you took it down. Hey, someone even words you, I don't know what you typed. All right, guys. So this is what my email ID is. Let me just show you something, and I'll just close it. Just a second. All right. Let me go to the last slide. I wish I had a So this is it. Guys, can you see? This is my email ID. If any questions and concern, you can also write it up. All right, guys, then. Thank you, Team Verzio. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. It was a really nice time interacting with you guys.
Thank you for the great session, Mr. Prem. We hope all the students had liked it, and it was a really great pleasure to have you currently in this session. And thankful for your time and valuable time that you have invested. And we hope we'll be having you in this coming webinars also. And last but not least, thank you all students for attending this webinar, and thank you all once again. For more webinars, please subscribe to Versio channel. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Press the bell icon for the regular updates. Thank you one and all. Have a great day.